Hi folks, today is a very exciting day because today we are rating the top 5 biggest villains in the Cameron Geller cinematic universe. This actually took me a long time to figure out, and I'm still somewhat undecided. I feel like this could be a hotly debated subject. So I'll definitely be reading the comments, see what you guys think. I'm checking my list one more time to see if I change my mind. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, and this is the one I'm really least sure about, hence why it's number 5, I put Freddie Frugal. And I know, I love that character, and he's goofy, and he's kind of happy-go-lucky. But there's really one reason why I feel like he's a villain, and I don't think he was originally a villain. I think he was just a cheapskate, which, you know, if you want to be frugal, that's your own prerogative. And all that I don't feel is actually villainous. There's only one reason when looking back at his videos that I was like, okay, this dude might be a villain, and that is because he makes the lives more difficult for people in the service industry. I know, kind of specific, but you see he has quotes about not tipping and quotes about stealing stuff from hotels. And this is a social issue I care about. It's actually in my Hinge profile. The work that waiters and cashiers and people who work at hotels do, it's already demanding and annoying enough. So for him to be that guy to make their lives that much more difficult is the one reason he's on my list as a villain. He's really barely on the list though, because he's not mean-spirited, he doesn't want to see people suffer, he doesn't have bad motives, but he is self-centered to the point where he really doesn't mind creating issues for other people to save money. And by the way, I know back in the day I said this character was loosely based around my dad. My dad is very nice to people in the service industry, okay? This character, like a lot of my characters, got more extreme over time. So my dad's not like that, okay? He's a great guy, you've seen him in some videos. Okay, that was only number 5. Number 4. This feels like more of a legitimate villain. Tyler Chodesen. Tyler is the original character, and he's an asshole. I feel like he's actually mean-spirited. I don't think he legitimately cares about like sticking up for men's rights and men's injustices. I think he's trying to purposely instigate and insult and infuriate women. He's kind of a bit of an internet troll in a way. So he really is the first actual villain on my list, because I think his motives are to cause damage and to provoke and cause chaos. If you see a little smirk in his video, I think that's like entertaining for him. So yeah, he's a misogynist, he's a jerk, he's a villain. That's number 4. Number 3, this one's definitely a villain too, Chase Tail. This character is honestly kind of one-dimensional. It's not my best character. But his whole thing is he's a serial cheater and a massive liar about it, and gaslighter, and also just kind of a dick. Like he plays on his hypothetical girlfriend's insecurities. I feel like that one's pretty obvious. You might have guessed that one. Okay, top 2. I would consider these major villains. Number 2, Rich Parentson. He's interesting because in a way, it might not be entirely his fault. He sort of became this way out of circumstance, but that's how we get a lot of villains, right? Villain origin story. For him, he's spoiled, privileged, entitled. So you could maybe make the argument that the real villains are his parents, maybe his dad that he like references quite a lot, but he's not really doing much to acknowledge that or push back against that. But yeah, looking deeper at his character, obviously he's completely unsympathetic, completely out of touch, also a bit of a narcissist, can't read a room, kinda a victim blamer. All those things are bad, obviously. But what's worse is if you see some of the references, buying up real estate so the poor can't afford it, his dad's company that he works for committing fraud. There's like some big scale things that he's done or his family's done or he's been involved with that will cause like actual harm, okay? Not to get socio-economical on you guys, but obviously we live in a time of great wealth disparity. That doesn't all just happen by accident. When Rich Parentson talks about buying up property so the middle class can't afford it, that's a thing. And that's why I consider him a real villain. His character would be doing things that are creating actual harm for people, and then being completely unsympathetic about it. And I'm not saying all rich people are bad, but he is bad and unapologetically. Okay, we're at number 1. But before I do number 1, I'm gonna do honorable mentions. First off, Phil F. Scheidt. He's the professional politician who's full of shit. He could have easily been on the villain list, but the main reason he's not on the list is because his character isn't developed that much and we haven't seen him in a long time and we haven't seen much of him. But he could be there. I would have no problem putting a politician on this list. Next, Glenn Treefucker. I actually don't have a problem with vegans as much as it might seem that way, and I've been using that character less because I think I've made fun of them enough. But there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with being vegan. When Glenn Treefucker forces his cats and dogs to be vegans, that's pretty villainous. Or just his mentality about putting the lives of animals before the lives of humans. Like when he said he'd sooner stop for a duck crossing the road than a child. Okay, I'm kind of talking myself into maybe I should have put him on the list. But I didn't, because being a vegan for me isn't a problem. And yes, I do think overall it's a good thing to have people caring about the environment and caring about animals. So he's got kind of good traits and bad traits. Maybe he's more of like an anti-hero than a villain. I don't know. What do you guys think? Next honorable mention, Kent Take a Hint. I think maybe a lot of you guys thought he was going to be on the list. And he's a jerk, of course, and he's creepy. But the reason he's not is because he's unaware. He doesn't have bad motives. He's just oblivious. So I felt like because of that, he's not a real villain. Next honorable mention, Chad Thundercock. Chad Thundercock is an interesting character. He's had a bit of a character arc. And I feel like over time, he's actually become less villainous, unlike most of my characters. Chad Thundercock is the type of guy to make gay jokes or make sexist jokes, but not actually be sexist or homophobic. He's rude, he's douchey, he's annoying, but at the end of the day, all Chad Thundercock really cares about is his own gains. He's just a meathead, so I don't really feel like he's a pure villain. And last honorable mention, you guys might have thought this was the #1 villain, but the last honorable mention is actually Emily Wilkerson. She's annoying AF. And I would actually say in the Cameron Geller cinematic universe, she's probably the biggest antagonist, but I don't think she's the biggest villain. For perspective, you got Rich Parentson making housing unaffordable for the middle class, and you got Emily Wilkerson saying a joke is offensive. That's why I don't feel like she's doing enough actual harm in the Cameron Geller universe to be considered a villain. And I don't think people take her that seriously anyways. Is she annoying? Is she self-righteous? Absolutely. But I don't think I'd go as far as villainous, or at least not in the top 5. Honorable mentions done, time to give the #1 spot. In my opinion, the #1 biggest villain in the Cameron Geller cinematic universe is Wayne Tufhar. I'm pretty sure this guy has killed people, or tried to. He fed someone their dog. He also gave someone an allergic reaction. In fact, the fact that I can even come up with these things makes me concerned for my own mental health. There we have it. The top 5 villains, in my opinion, in the Cameron Geller cinematic universe. What do you guys think? I'm prepared to be wrong. Let's get to the bottom of this. What are your top 5? Who did I miss? What do you think? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, guys, subscribe, get the bell on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching my long form on YouTube. I appreciate it. And that's going to be it for this week's video. See you next week, guys. All right, peace.